All right, just finished my slab inspection. Liking what I see. So let me, if I can entertain you a little bit, let me tell you what I see. And I hope you appreciate this. Whenever you have a penetration that comes through the slab, this plastic I'm walking on here is for a moisture barrier, part of code. I think it's very, very intelligent demand, very intelligent. So we want to make sure any penetration that comes through the slab is able to not impede or violate a moisture barrier. So this square, you're going to see on all these penetrations that come through, this square that's actually taped separately to maintain the moisture barrier. And you see these squares are everywhere. Larger ones, like around this whole bathroom 2 assembly. Here, AC chases. So you can see all those squares of extra material taped up. And here in the business, we just call them diapers, right? Call it something simple people can understand. Another thing you see is this steel raised up on chairs. I know some of you heard this before. You've been watching for a while. This is at Reentrant corners. A Reentrant corner is an area of the slab that comes in towards the building. And because concrete, we know what it is. It's a wonderful building product, but it's prone to crack. And you have hairline cracks. It's very common, but it's what do you do about it? You just don't be ignorant and walk away. So what we do, and everybody does, is put rebar right there, steel, to reinforce what we know to be a weak point in the concrete. So even though the master recessed showers are inside the building, it doesn't matter. That is still a reentrant corner. So around the whole thing, we have extra steel. You might notice these chairs are also what holds the steel up down here in the footer. The footer is generally something that receives a huge amount of load, of weight downward. So where I'm standing in the living space, we don't need that type of reinforcement. But where the load of the structure comes down, we need deeper and more concrete. This bar here, why is it just laying there? The engineer calls for this corner to have a second tier of steel. Second tier, higher up. So we already got the steel in the footer, right? We already got that. But they don't make chairs in infinite heights. So when the boys pour the footer, they get up, just pump it. Those chairs would holds the steel up suspended inside the concrete. And then what they do is when they get it about 70% filled is a wet set. So they grab that and they put it in the mix. So it's held in suspension to reinforce that section of the building. And we do also a wet set on the right and left side of the garage walls, because the engineer calls for another layer of steel. That's not a good word. Another section of rebar. So we have these pre-cut, ready to wet set right into those footers right there. So good job, plumbers. We already inspected them last week. This is a future, or not a future, it is a current loop for if someone wants to put in a water softener. It's in over there. Another underground guy is our electrician. So right here we have conduit on the exterior wall to here. Okay, there's nothing in here. It's empty. We tape it in case concrete gets in there. We don't want that to be plugged up. So of course we just put tape over it. Later, when the building gets somewhere around that stage, electrician is going to come down here and he's going to run a conduit from overhead down the wall into that, or he's going to run wire into that conduit to here. Because down the road, this is going to be the island kitchen, and we have some outlets we need to power. Here's again the master recessed showers they're going to get with Reentrant corners. The firewall area, or that's a heavy section of the building, because that firewall stuff weighs a lot. So there's a footer right down dead center line of Broadway, front to back. And then on this side of this footer is bathroom two, and there is a small shear wall. And so the engineer says, hey boys, put a footer left to right on your radio dial down there. So I just, earlier I put the inspector set of prints in the box. Those are the ones that are red stamped from the county. And we are ready for slab inspection. If all goes well, I didn't see the weather. I didn't look at the weather yet. But I anticipate we would pass this today. From what I looked at, things look great. So potentially, as long as there's no heavy chance of rain tomorrow, we should be pouring that slab.